Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Next Goal Wins. Today it's something a little bit different. I'm sure you can see all around my face here. We have got 11 spots and a manager spot. This is my greatest combined Leicester team from the O'Neill era and this team. Who's going to be in 11? Find out now. So we're going to start with the goalkeeper then. So we could have had Kasey Keller, we could have had Tim Flowers, or we could have had Kasper Schmeichel. Now, for me, this decision was a bit of a difficult one because I grew up, Kasey Keller was in goal, he was kind of a hero, Tim Flowers was in goal, he was a bit of a hero, but the man I've picked is Kasper Schmeichel for the first position in this team. Now, Kasper has been so solid since he joined us under Sven-Göran Eriksson, one of our longest serving players now, of course, because he's been here for 5-6 years, I think it is now, and he came from Leeds with a bit of a reputation as a good shot stopper but error prone, and those errors have really been wiped out of his game. He's now a #1 goalkeeper for his country, Denmark, following in his father's footsteps and really getting to his potential, which we all knew he had. And he's one of those players that every time you see his name on the team sheet, he's so solid. There's no questioning about it. It's just Kasper's the goalkeeper, we move on. And there's nothing against Keller or Flowers for this choice, but Schmeichel is my goalkeeper in my combined 11. Next up, it's right back. Now, it was difficult this one because under O'Neill we didn't really have a right back. We played kind of a 3-5-2 with attacking fullbacks. Having said that, the choices I went with was Andy Impey, who obviously kind of played wing back when he was at Leicester, and Danny Simpson and Richie Delat from the current squad. Now, last season you'd asked me this. Obviously I'd picked Delat over Simo just because Delat was playing, Simpson wasn't featuring, obviously was causing problems off the pitch. Now, Andy Impey was a player I always liked when I was a kid. He'd bomb forward, up and down that wing, short kind of player, and would deliver crosses in. But for me, based on his form in recent weeks, it's going to be Danny Simpson. So we've got two players already from the most recent team. Now, I think Simpson has come into the team that no one wanted in the team. I'm not sure there's any fans out there who said, bring back Danny Simpson. You know, he had that alleged wife beating case. I think he's actually got convicted of it. He's doing jury service and stuff, so no one wanted him in the team. I've seen as a bad egg, but he's come in. Last season his performances were really poor, but been absolutely solid this season. So Danny Simpson, well done, you're the right back in this squad. Now, centre-halves. We've had some great ones. Obviously from the early teams it's Steve Walsh, Matt Elliott, Spencer Pryor and Jerry Taggart to choose from. And then from the most recent team, you've got Morgan and you've got Hoof. I didn't put Vasilevsky and Ben Luani in purely because obviously they haven't featured really at all this season and they wouldn't be getting in my team. Now, this was my easiest decision of the whole team, who I was going to pick here. The greatest Leicester legend of all time, for me personally, Steve Walsh, goes in as my captain and my first centre-half. Now, Walsh is an absolute legend to me and to, I'm sure, a lot of Leicester fans out there, making over 500 league appearances for us. Peter Taylor eventually kicked him out. If you haven't read Walsh's book, you should. It's a really good book, 50 Shades of Blue. A really great book, giving an insight into what it was like being at Leicester for that long. But Walsh was the player you wanted out there, his commitment, his work ethic and everything he did. He had a bad boy reputation, got sent off quite a bit when he came from Wigan, but really settled down as a player. Had 15-16 years of great commitment to Leicester City Football Club is an absolute legend at the club and is an easy pick to go in this team. Now, the second decision for me again was easy. For others, I'm sure it'll be different. But for me as a 20-year-old boy, or man I should say, it's Matt Elliott. Now, Elliott gave me one of my favourite ever memories as a Leicester City fan, scoring 2 goals at Wembley against Tranmere to lift the League Cup, and obviously the first trophy won in the new millennium. Leicester will always have that record of everyone in the world. But it was an amazing game, Matt. And Elliott, alongside Walsh for years, our defence was so solid with those two in there. Elliott and Walsh would both score goals as well. They both contribute from corners. Walsh had one of the greatest ever moments when he had his header, 3-3 against Arsenal, head ping pong, comes to Walsh at the back stick, smashes it in. I'm sure you'll remember that. Obviously playing up front in the playoff final against Derby, scoring the winning goal, setting up Claridge for the replay in '97 in the cup final at Hillsborough. Walsh had great moments, but Elliott didn't kind of disappoint when he had his. He had those 2 goals at Tranmere, amazing. Villa in the semi-final scored, and he scored important goals. There was one, I think that season he had about 10 league goals for us, Matt Elliott. So what a warrior those two would be. They're definitely my centre-halves for this team, and I don't think many people would be getting past them. Now, left-back is an important position in the team. We've got Christian Fuchs, Jeff Schlupp, and we've got Steve Guppy I've had to put there because he kind of played wing-back, but as I said with Andy Impey earlier, he gets in this left-back spot. Now, Fuchs had a brilliant start to the season, but for me, I can't put someone in my greatest Leicester City team who's only been here a few months. So, having said that, it's between Jeff Schlupp and Steve Guppy. Now, Schlupp, amazing going forward, amazing potential, and to think how far he's come from kind of being a utility player on our side, playing up front, to this left back now who looks solid at left back, can play left wing, can play strike, and plays them all well. And his development and how far he's come is a credit to himself and a credit to the coaching staff. But it would be absolute blasphemy on me to, I might have said this in a video, but my second favourite Leicester City player of all time is Steve Guppy, and Steve has to go in this team. He scored my favourite ever Leicester City goal. I'm sure some of you won't even remember this, some of you might not even be old enough to remember this, but he scored a goal away at Chelsea. He kind of bent inside, massively left-footed player, bent inside, right foot, curled it into the far corner in a 2-2 draw. Gianfranco Zola was brilliant that day, but Guppy got the equaliser, and it was a special goal, that one. It'll stay with me for a long time. And Guppy had the best delivery of a ball you'll ever see from a Leicester City player. He was deadly of his crosses, whipping it in quickly. He could do it with either foot. An absolute Leicester City legend. Steve Guppy, congratulations, you are in the team. Well done, sir. Now, right midfield, we had two options again, really, here. I mean, it was difficult, this one, because City, like I said, didn't really operate with a right midfielder in those years. But I've gone for a few. I mean, I've had to go for Nathan Dyer, obviously, I can't really put in. And then from that 1999 team, there wasn't really anyone I've put in. So, I mean, he'd have got in anyway, but by process of elimination, it is Riyad Mahrez. Now, he's the most talented, naturally gifted footballer I've ever seen at Leicester City Football Club. And that's in 20 years. My dad says the same. He's obviously older than me, considerably older than me. I won't give his age out on camera because he won't want me to. No, he's only 50 odd. So, yeah. So, I mean, Mahrez is an absolute god on the pitch when the ball gets to him. He's Messi-esque for Leicester, his importance when he gets the ball and how he can drift past players. His shoulder feints, the way he ball rolls. It's unbelievable. Check out a link in the description I put for an F2 freestyler. Some of you might watch. I made it a video of Riyad just kind of showcasing his absolute talent on the ball, and he's a world-class player. He's delivered this season. He's delivered ever since we bought him for that minuscule fee, and it really was a great signing by Pearson, by Steve Walsh and the scouting system. Mahrez has to go in this team. And talking about cheap signings, the next man who goes in is N'Golo Conte. He may not be that cheap on paper, 5.6 million, but in terms of his worth for the team, he is in there for 5.6 million in terms of a bargain, because he's been absolutely influential in this team. I mean, I could have put Savage in, I could have put Lennon in, and there's another centre midfield spot, so one of them might get in a second, but I had to go for N'Golo on this one over Danny Drinkwater, let's say. Conte's just an absolute joy to watch on my pitch. He's got the most interceptions in the Premier League, most tackles in the Premier League combined with his interceptions. He's an unbelievable warrior on the pitch. My favourite Leicester City player in this current crop, gives everything for the team, breaks up the play. The amount of times he sets up counter-attacks for us, he's a key cog in that midfield. So N'Golo gets in, he's playing deeper than my next midfielder, who is my favourite Leicester City player of all time. Now, some of you might know who this is, I might have said this in a video before. Scored one of my favourite Leicester goals of all time against Tottenham at home on the volley. Can any of you guess who it is? Yes, of course, it is the legend. Someone who played in the World Cup semi-final. It is Mustafa Muzzy Izzet. Muzzy Izzet was an absolute hero of mine as a kid. Now, I know I've said that about a few of the O'Neill eras, but Izzet really was. He was the player I looked up to most. The player I wanted to be when I grew up was Muzzy Izzet. The way he dictated the midfield, the way he shook himself into challenges despite not being the most physical player, the goals he scored an overhead kick away at Grimsby once on my dad's birthday, which was an amazing goal. That was near the end of his Leicester career, but Izzet gave everything for the team. He stayed there when we got relegated. He didn't leave. He had the opportunity to leave. Birmingham, I think, wanted him. He eventually went there, but he had the opportunity to leave when we were doing poorly. When we got relegated, he stayed. But in those years when we were brilliant under O'Neill, he was absolutely influential with Lennon and kind of Savage or whoever else it was filling in alongside him, but Muzzy, it has to go in for me. My favourite Leicester City player of all time. That Tottenham goal will stay with me for the rest of my life, I'm sure, but what a player Muzzy it was. Everything he did for the club was brilliant, pretty much. He never had a bad game in my memory. I'm sure he did, but in my recollection he never did. So Muzzy you get in the central midfield. Well done, Muzzy. Now left midfield, again, is another one I didn't really have kind of too many people to choose from because we didn't really play many left midfielders in that O'Neill team. Guppy was the left midfielder, but to accompany Guppy down my left hand side, I've gone for Mark Albrighton. Albrighton and Guppy down that side with set piece and cross deliveries, I think would be pretty much unstoppable. Get a rhyming Guppy there. Guppy would overlap, get those left-footed ones in. Mark could cut back inside, right-footed ones in. Albrighton gets in there. There's no one else really who could go there. But I still say, Matt, Albrighton I think would complement Steve Guppy really well, and the crosses would be amazing. And I've got those two in the team because we move on to the striker position next, and my first striker is there to win those headers from the crosses from Guppy and from Albrighton. Let's see who it is now. So my first striker for this team is none other than Bruno. It is Emile Heskey. Now, don't laugh. Some of you who are young viewers, some of you who know the Heskey of being rubbish for England, who was terrible for the end of his career really at Villa and Wigan and kind of mumbled around, became a bit of a laughing stock, Heskey. But when he was young, when he was at Leicester, when he was 18, when he was 19, when he was 20, he was physical, he was fast, he was powerful in every sense of the word. He scored important goals. The equaliser in the cup final against Middlesbrough. He scored important goals, good goals. The one against Arsenal at home, he scored goals a season. I mean, we sold him to Liverpool for a significant amount of money in those days, £15 million. Now might not seem a lot to you, but at that time it was a massive amount for the club. He left really too early because he left and then the club kind of went downhill under Peter Taylor. But when Heskey was there, in his prime as a young kid, he could do everything. His pace and winning balls in the air. He was a decent finisher back then as well. He was never a massive goal scorer, but he'd get you 10, 11, 12 a season. I could have put Tony Cottee in on this one. Cottee's another player who I loved as a kid. Scored important goals away at Sunderland in a cup semi-final, that whole run, and scored a lot of goals away at Man United when we won. He was brilliant, Cottee. I really loved him as a player. But Emile gets in for me purely because he's going to win more crosses, and I think he'll complement my second striker very well. You all know who it's going to be. It has to be. It's the man, it's the myth, it's not a legend anymore. It is James Vardy. Jamie Vardy gets in my final position in this team, and Jamie did everything, does everything right on a football pitch. I mean, his record this season, we've talked about it so much. Every one of my videos I've mentioned it, but it's such an amazing achievement to have put Leicester City really on the map, put us top of the table, given us a chance to win the league. So Jamie Vardy goes in there as my second striker, and there's only one man I think that could lead those 11 players. So the manager, obviously there are only two men to pick from, and Claudio Ranieri, as brilliant as he has been, can't go in this squad because he's only been there a few months. If we win the league at the end of the season, maybe he will, but the man he goes in is the man I call Le God, like Southampton call Letitia. It is, of course, the one, the only, Martin O'Neill. Martin did so much good for this club. He had the opportunity to leave a few times to Leeds, but obviously the famous Martin Don't Go game against Tottenham, actually, where Is it scored that incredible goal I spoke about earlier. But O'Neill is our most successful manager in terms of the top 10 finishes in the Premier League, the League Cup, 2 League Cup wins, the European adventures, and it was a prolonged period. Ranieri's been brilliant so far, don't get me wrong, but O'Neill did it year after year after year after year. He bought the right players, he didn't spend a lot of money. You look at people like Steve Claridge, a journeyman striker he bought in, did well. Muzzy a young player he bought from Chelsea, no one knew who he was, did well. Neil Lennon the same, a young player he bought in, no one had heard of him, did brilliantly. Steve Walsh, a man from Wigan who came in before he was there, but he got into the squad in that defensive position, taking him from a striker, did brilliantly. Matt Elliott, the list goes on, and what a manager Martin O'Neill was. One of the greatest managers of all time, still to this day, obviously doing it with Ireland now, but one of the greatest managers of all time, understood players, understood how to get the best out of a team that maybe wasn't the best team on the field on that day, but as Ranieri is doing this season, would have the most heart, the most determination, and would want to win the most. So Martin O'Neill, I think he'd love leading this team. I think this team would be a brilliant team. This is my all-time ultimate Leicester City 11. Please leave below what your all-time ultimate Leicester City 11 is from these two teams. Now, obviously, the first for LCFC, where this video goes, they're doing this poll at the moment, so make sure to vote on all of them, check them all out. Thank you for watching, I'll see you in the next one, please subscribe.